Tell you the story of how I became a ballroom dance teacher, because it's affected me over my life. This year I spent working, the first year I spent out of, after I finished my bachelor's. So I was young, I was like 24, and I moved to I can say it. It was around the Washington, D.C. area. And I'd never lived on the East Coast before. It was a totally different culture. It was really the South. And so that sort of freaked me out. There were a lot of issues I didn't understand. People would start fights in bars, and I could never believe that. I was like, we all love each other in California, but I don't understand this place. Anyway, I couldn't find a job in art, and I didn't have any contacts. So I had been dancing as a modern dancer and ballet dancer and stuff in college. But I answered an ad in a newspaper to teach ballroom dancing. So I went to the studio, and it was a very old-fashioned studio, and it belonged to a chain, not a big chain, but a small chain. And so I said, I don't know how to dance ballroom dancing. They're like, we'll teach you. So they basically gave me just a week's worth of lessons, and then they immediately started putting students with me, and I was petrified. But it was all about not necessarily teaching someone to dance, okay? There were a lot of other things that you were selling, such as companionship. And there's a lot of lonely people in Washington, D.C., a lot of lonely men who don't touch women much. And, it was just basically one step above lap dancing, which is what I was doing. Because I didn't know how to dance much. And I learned, and so I would go to work every day, and dance teachers work late, so we'd have to be at work at 11, 12 in the morning, and have a dance lesson for an hour from the senior teachers, and then have a sales lesson, learn exactly how to talk, what to say, to get people to buy lessons from us. And then I'd start teaching, and I would teach. You'd teach until 10 o'clock at night. And then afterwards, you'd go out and, with the other dance teachers, and you'd go dancing at night and practice what you learned. And so it was a real tight-knit group of people. And the woman who ran the dance studio she was sort of like a madame. She took care of us. She paid us like shit, which was terrible because people at that time were paying probably $75 a dance with us, and we were making almost minimum wage. And we could earn more if we sold more lessons. So that was the whole idea. There was a guy there he was a good dance teacher, but he had some old ladies who were in their 80s who had 100, 200, 300 hours paid in advance. You barely think they're going to live until the next year. How are they going to earn off all those, But that was the thing. He was a good salesperson. So I got this little student. He was a young man. His name was Charles. And I had a persona. I wasn't allowed to use my real name. And no, I wasn't allowed to say that I was living with a boyfriend, which I was. I had to be just this blank slate so that the men who came to dance with me could fill in the blanks for themselves. And I would be worth paying that much money to dance with. So this little guy, Charles, started dancing with me, and he was sort of a bureaucrat type and, wore his tie, and he knew nothing. He knew nothing about how to be with a woman. And I would come back into my sales meeting and say, I have to know how to tell Charles to start wearing deodorant, because I can barely dance with this guy. He smells so bad. And so they would all teach me, okay, this is the way you have to teach him. I had to teach him basic body skills, basic skills about how to talk. And I remember when he would dance with me, he'd be shaking. So I worked with him. He danced with me once a week, and then he started dancing with me twice a week. And I'm feeling bad because he's spending so much money. And finally, at the end of this year, there was a cruise that came up, and everyone was supposed to pick one student to try to sell the cruise to. And the students are not only going to pay for their own way, but they're going to pay for their dance teacher's way. So this is a lot of money. So I asked Charles to take me, and he did. And I just remember feeling so bad. And it was basically, I was a companion for him. And he never was inappropriate with me at all, and sometimes other men would be. In fact, I think I got some proposals of marriage, you know, and I don't know how serious they were, but so anyway, I went on this cruise with Charles, and on the cruise, I fell in love with someone else. And it was just such a surreal thing. And I remember being very upset with the whole situation and realizing I'm living a total lie. These people don't even know my real name. They don't know I'm living with someone at home. And then I just fell in love with someone else. And I totally fell apart on this cruise. And Charles comforted me. And he bought me this necklace that I still remember and I still have. And he was the one, after spending all this money on me, that got me through this sort of trauma. And in the end, what happened is I went back to DC and I said, finally, I can't do this anymore. This is like living a lie. I feel like I'm almost like a mistress to 25 men. I cannot keep doing this. And I had a car accident, and I left my boyfriend in DC, and I remember the woman who ran the dance studio, she said, "Oh honey, you can move in with me. I'll take care of you. You can use my car." I mean, she really was so invested that I stay. And I finally just said, I can't do it. And I told a few students that I was leaving, and I just disappeared. I didn't even take my last paycheck. And I came back to the West Coast. So that was my year of being a dance teacher.